Hello friends, welcome back to the Citizen Geek channel. I am your host, Maddie G, and today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts with you on the film Room.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
No, not that Room. Room is based on the best-selling book by Emma Donoghue, who also wrote the screenplay. The film is about two people, a young woman known as Ma and her 5-year-old son, Jack. When we first meet these two characters, it kind of seems like everything's normal with them. They have kind of a normal life. They seem to have a pretty traditional mother-son relationship. As the movie keeps going, we start to realize, though, that something isn't quite right about this situation. What we ultimately come to find out is that Ma, whose real name is Joy Newsome, was abducted 7 years ago and has been locked in this shed where she's been forced to live since then. 2 years into her kidnapping, she was ultimately impregnated by the man who kidnapped her and has been basically keeping her prisoner and sexually assaulting her this whole time. She has been raising her son, Jack, in this kind of alternate heightened sense of reality in which she describes the room that they live in as the world. And that's really all there is. And everything else that's out there or that they see in television it's all just fake or it's magic. And that the guy who's been holding them captive, who's only known throughout the movie as Old Nick, is kind of like a magician of sorts, who's able to bring stuff into them through essentially magic. Room plays in a really interesting way because most of it is actually told through the eyes of Jack. So while we in the audience recognize what a horrific situation these two characters find themselves in, we're seeing this all through the eyes of a kid for whom this is his life. This is all he knows. He has a great relationship with his mother. They clearly love each other, so he more or less, he's more or less a happy kid, and as a result, it gives the movie kind of a weird feeling, but it's a really interesting take on the story. Now, if you don't want to know anything else about the movie going in, you might want to stop here, but this isn't really a spoiler because if you've seen any of the trailers or read anything about the movie, it's no surprise, but just in case you don't want to know anything else, you might want to stop now. About halfway through the movie, they successfully manage to escape, and the rest of the film becomes about the two of them adjusting to the outside world. For Ma, aka Joy, it's about her dealing with being back out in the world after so long, and coming back to all the things she had lost, and the relationships that she had had with other people, including her parents and her friends, and having to deal with what's essentially post-traumatic stress disorder. It's like after you've been through such a horrific ordeal, and you've gotten used to living in that, now you're back, and you're kind of back in real life, and you're expected by most people to be the person you were before, but there's no conceivable way you can be that person again after what you've gone through and the changes that you've had to go through for that. Brie Larson, who plays Ma, gives an absolutely incredible performance here. I've become a huge fan of Brie Larson's over the last few years, really kind of starting with Scott Pilgrim. She's done excellent supporting work in movies like 21 Jump Street, The Spectacular Now, and Trainwreck. She also starred in a really great movie a couple years ago called Short Term 12 that I thought she was amazing in too. But her work on Room is on a whole nother level here. I don't think there's any question whatsoever that she's going to be nominated for an Academy Award this year. I think it's absolutely well-deserved. This is one of the best performances by any actor that I've seen this year, hands down. She gives a real fierceness to Ma, and it's really interesting seeing the relationship that she has with Old Nick. Old Nick is not portrayed as like the big, like evil monster. He's more of just typical pathetic human evil, and the relationship that they have is really interesting. It's almost like a really sad, pathetic, twisted marriage, at least from his eyes, and she essentially plays along with it to keep her son safe. It's only when Old Nick does anything towards Jack that she immediately snaps out of it and lunges at him and tries to fight him off. It's a really interesting take, and she's absolutely amazing. The young actor who plays Jack, Jacob Tremblay, gives an equally amazing performance. His character has to go through an even different kind of story arc, because for him, this is all completely new to him. He was raised thinking that the room that he grew up in was the world, and that was it. And it's only right before they put their plan into motion that his ma starts to tell him more of the truth of the world out here. And when he's thrust into that, it's a lot for him to take, and we really see him kind of struggling and changing and adapting and slowly kind of figuring out what the real world is and how to act with other people, and that like trees are real and things like that. It's a really, really interesting story, and it's and it's portrayed incredibly well here. It's also really interesting to see how the relationships play out between Ma and Jack and the other characters in the movie once they come back into the real world, including Ma's parents, played by Joan Allen and William H. Macy. Just kind of seeing how people look at them and treat them, and the way that, like, for example, Ma is kind of looked at by a lot of people as damaged goods, and the way that some people look at Jack in a way that's like, well, how can you love this child because he came as a result of you getting raped by this terrible person? So can you really love this child? Things like that. This movie is very much about the powerful bond between mother and child, and how essentially they help each other get over what's happened and grow and change. Despite what you may think this movie might feel like, given the dark subject matter at hand, it's actually really uplifting and really moving. It's essentially a movie about watching people who've gone through a terrible ordeal come back from that, and how they're able to get through it really by relying on each other. There are a few parts of the movie I would have liked to see fleshed out a little bit more. The movie's all completely told mostly from Jack's perspective, a few times from Ma's as well. There are certain things we don't get to see play out that I was kind of interested in seeing more of, but that's a pretty minor quibble. Overall, I thought this was a really great movie. I highly recommend you check it out. If you think the film might be too dark for you or be too emotional, it's really a testament to the human spirit, and I think you'll come out of the film feeling a real sense of uplift. It's an amazing movie, and I really recommend you check it out. Alright, thanks guys for joining me again here on Citizen Geek. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think. Did you like the movie if you've seen it? Have you read the novel? What did you think of that? Did you think the movie did a good job of bringing the novel to the screen, especially considering that the author wrote the screenplay herself? Please like, share, subscribe if you enjoy what I do. Take care, and I will see you again real soon.